If you're just joining us, my name is Tara. And you're getting ready to hear from our ClassSwift team in just one moment. We're just dropping in the chat where you're from, if you can take a moment to do that. And then we're multitasking. We're also going to scan the QR code so that you can join the classroom for our ClassSwift activity. So please take a moment to scan that QR code. You can just do that with your phone, and that will put you into our class. And we're going to get started in just a few minutes. I see we have folks who've just joined, so just want to give them an opportunity to get situated. If you can let us know where you're from, and then Heather has also graciously included it in the chat thread, an opportunity for you to join the classroom in our ClassSwift demonstration activity. I want to also remind you before I turn it over to Tim on the ClassSwift team that this is in fact a digital workshop, which if you've joined me for any of these before, you know that this is really your opportunity to interact and ask questions. We want your feedback, and we look forward to hearing that. You can use the chat function, but you also have full access to your microphone as well as your camera. So feel free to use them both. Okay. Again, I want to welcome you, and I'm going to turn it over to Tim.
Thanks, Tara.
Hey, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you again, and welcome everyone. I'm glad you're here, and thank you for joining us. My name is Tim Kimbrell. I am going to be co-piloting along with my colleague Heather Rockwood, who's been so nice to join me as well. And our intention and our goal here is to introduce you all to a really exciting new teacher tool, and explain to you a little bit what it is, why it was developed, and why we are so excited to get this out and show it to you, and what some of the really, really cool things that it opens up inside of the classroom for instruction. So with that, Heather's driving the screen share here and kind enough to give me my next cue, which is go over our agenda. It's going to be amazing. I'm sure how fast this time flies. We do have quite a bit to show you, which is a good thing. And with that, we're going to start off with, as we'll read through down here, what is ClassSwift, a basic kind of an intro to what it is, why it was developed, and then we'll jump right into the toolbar of ClassSwift and jump right into all of the neat things that we'd like to show you as we move through. But as you can see here, going through examples, we certainly will walk through real world examples of how this has actually been used and some of the early feedback that we've received from districts that have already implemented ClassSwift and have seen great feedback from teachers. And then really another one of the main reasons we're here today is to discuss not only ClassSwift, but ClassLink and the partnership together and the integration of ClassLink into ClassSwift. I'm going to have to really be careful on those two as I go through the next hour here to not get those confused. And then, of course, the exciting free pilot opportunity that we have for you all for joining us today. That is going to be an opportunity for you all to really take the keys and test drive this really powerful toolbar, and hopefully get some teachers involved and spread the news a little bit and help us with doing so as well. And then, of course, we'll end it all with a Q&A. But as Tara pointed out earlier as well, feel free, if you all have questions along the way, to drop those either into the chat or unmute and just ask as we go. We want this to be more of a conversation than an actual just us here talking for the next 45, 50 minutes or so. So we would love to hear from you, either by chat or by jumping in and unmuting and just asking a question. We're here to let you guys guide as we move forward. So with that said, let me go ahead and point out that ClassSwift is developed by ViewSonic. First and foremost, I do want to point that out. We have a parent company, ViewSonic, behind this. There's a great reason for why they developed this, but I also want to point out right out of the gate that this is not only for ViewSonic users. We certainly love that ViewSonic users get to implement this into their current ecosystem and what they already have in the district. But we have also opened this up for districts that are currently not using ViewSonic equipment technology in the districts, or might have a little bit here, a little bit there, but it's certainly not something to X out of the conversation. We want all involved and certainly all based on technology requirements in the district to get an early look at this. So what we have here with ClassSwift, as I jump right into it, is a very powerful toolbar that we have made available for teachers to use in their classrooms from the current equipment and technology that they already have in classrooms, be it a panel, large panel already in the classroom, teaching from their laptop, a projector, whatever the case is. We have through research and development realized that there's still a separation in the difficulty between what teachers would like to do and the time that they have to plan and in classroom requirements and getting the information in front of the students and just not having enough time of the day to really plan exciting interactive lessons. And so our idea was not only to do that, to plan, but to really take it to the next level and do real time. What can we do in real time? How can we affect the engagement? How can we increase the usage of technology in the classroom? How can we increase engagement in real time as well? And provide teachers a way to share information, get quick checks for understanding, and do all of that within the learning environment that they are used to working within. And that's where I've kind of built all of this to build this Q2 toward. And that is, you might be thinking, or you might along the way think, oh, this is like such and such a program over here, or this is similar to so-and-so a product over here. But let me right out of the gate make it clear what is different about this than some other products that might allow teachers to create some cool lessons and share them with the class. What we have here and what we developed with this toolbar that Heather is showing and moving across the screen there is it sits on top of, it's a layer on top of any and everything that the teacher is using for instruction in the classroom. So this isn't an environment that a teacher has to go to in order to build a lesson. This isn't a program that a teacher has to move their resources into in order to build a really neat interactive lesson for the students in their class. This is something that sits on top of whatever the teachers are using, be it a slide deck, a website, any number of resources that the teachers are using within their current lessons. This little powerful toolbar that Heather's moving around there on the screen just sits on top of all of it and can collapse and hide out of the way when you don't need it and open right back up and be right there when you need it. So what this represents is just a real-time way, real-time opportunity for teachers to not only share, but grab checks for understanding and open up what might be material or even technology that in the classroom might need a refresh or a spark. And this is just a great way to do so. Heather has a great slide here to get started and to kind of show you the interactive nature of that. So with Heather, I'd like to pass it over to you and kind of show what's going on here.
Thanks, Tim. I just put a message in the chat. If you haven't already joined my classroom, you can go ahead and use that link now to join in if you'd like to participate. What I just did was press a button on my ClassSwift toolbar. And what it did is grabbed all of the content that was showing on my screen and it just pushed it out to you all. So if you want to go ahead and check out that login page that you jumped into, I'm going to go to mine on my own screen. If for any reason you were unable to get logged in as a student to participate today, it's totally fine. This is what it's going to look like for a student. So I pushed the button, it sent out what was on my screen, and now all of the students in my class, aka you all, should be seeing this on your own computer screen. And this is what's going to start to spark that engagement and touch point with your students. This is just a little bit of a fun get to know you type of activity. I'll have a bunch more examples that are a bit more academic based, but you can go ahead and click edit content and you can play with this yourself. It's just asking you to fill in the smiley face. So have fun with it, get creative. I'll give you all a couple of minutes to fill your smiley face in. I'll do mine right now. So as you can see, your students can use their mouse to fill in the screen. They can use their finger if you have touchscreen computers. If you have this up on your own screen displaying as like the teacher view, what I'm going to do is show you the submissions that are coming in now. So I can see who's participating on this screen. Here's my class roster. Tara sent hers in. Kathy, thanks. Tim sent his in. Love the glasses. And then you can start interacting with your students. So like I said, this is just one quick example. I'm not going to go too deep into this yet, but I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of touch ClassSwift a little bit and play with it before you get started, just to get that context going.
Perfect. And that's great engagement. Congratulations to you all. I loved seeing that all the squares were full. Very, very cool. And so that just a brief introduction there, as Heather showed the interaction, the back and forth, and just how easy it is to just take something that was on the screen, something that we may have been using as a teacher, as an educator for instruction, and just quickly sharing something and getting instant feedback. And so as we walk through more of the features and functions of what the tools are within this toolbar, I think you'll see it as more and more how easy that is to not only get a check for understanding or to share important things. And most importantly, I like to point this out as well. There's this idea with the panels, and some of you may have panels in the classroom, some of you may work projectors, whatever the case is, that big idea of having something that all eyes are on at the front of the classroom, which is great, but there are certainly opportunities where the teacher can share what's on the big screen of the big panel at the front of the class with individual students at their desks on the technology, on the devices that are at their desks. And so what that does, not only during the course of instruction, but even during a check for understanding, is allow a teacher to grab something there on the big panel or on their laptop and instantly send it out to the students' devices on their desks, and instantly have them have it right there, instead of maybe having one at a time, two at a time, come up to the board, work out a math problem, or come up and answer a question at the front of the class. Now all students have the ability to do so from the devices that they have on their person, whether that's a Chromebook, a tablet, even a phone for that matter. Some of you are probably did their feedback from a number of devices here with Heather's example. So really, really cool ways to just open up the classroom, open up engagement using the resources that the educators and your teachers already have, and in the learning environment that they're already used to working from. So really, really neat stuff here.
Yeah, so the intention is to be able to give your teachers more freedom to use their own content, but not be bound to certain types of media. So there's a lot of resources that are out there where you can kind of make PowerPoint presentations a little bit more interactive. But with ClassSwift, you can use it on everything. Like Tim was explaining before, we were bouncing around to my view board, the internet, a slide deck. You can go into your curriculum. If you have your online textbook material, a lot of times at the end of chapters, there'll be quizzes and questions to check for understanding. So you can, instead of relying on printing those out into physical paper, you can just pull up ClassSwift, take a screenshot, and send it out. So there's a bunch of different quiz types. I just want to give you a taste of them. We will not be going deep into them today. But it's easy to understand the ClassSwift side of things in order to get to the ClassLink integration and have that make a bit more sense for you all. So with the ClassSwift toolbar, you're going to have lots of options for your typical quiz questions where there's a button students click on to respond, true, false, multiple choice. We also have short answer opportunities so that students can have a little bit more critical thinking and write in their answers. Audio response is available so students can turn on their microphone and respond verbally. Our language teachers really like this one. And the AI quiz generator, I will be showing that today just to help save teacher time on quiz questions. The question type that I sent out just a minute ago was instant push, where I just clicked one button and it sent out my content on the screen for students to be able to interact and draw on. I'm going to give you another example right now, though. So if I go over to my view board, this is just another way to extend the use of your whiteboarding software. I have a question here ready to go for you all, and I'm going to go ahead and click multiple choice, and I'm going to snap that image. I do want to give you multiple answer opportunities, so you can click more than one answer choice instead of just one. And I'm going to hit start quiz. So again, you should be able to go over to your own student side that you just logged into a minute ago. I can see the results live right now. I'll give you a second to start to respond to that question. Take a minute to read it. But the intention here, I'm using this to check in with you all, sort of like a pre-quiz on your knowledge of ClassSwift or your interest in this webinar. But as you would imagine in a classroom, you can use this at the beginning of a lesson for maybe a do now activity. Just a quick, hey, how are we feeling about this? What do we know already? Maybe a warm up to get the brain going. And then it's a matter of seconds. You see, we already have a whole bunch of people answered. I can give you all a couple more minutes to respond, and then I can move on with my lesson. So we want this to be really quick and easy. But what's awesome is that once I hit end quiz, you're going to get that data right there on the spot. So on the fly, check for understanding. Before I hit end quiz, I do want to go over and show the student experience for anyone who might be watching this later, or again, if you couldn't log in for any reason. So here's the question the student sees on their screen. That's the image that I just took as the teacher. And then beneath that, I actually used a translation toggle. So if you do have students in your class that need scaffolding with changing the language throughout your lessons, we have over 70 different languages that students can toggle around and use that to help support their learning. And I'm going to go ahead and respond. Just going to move this out of the way so you can see. And then the student hits submit, and that's what feeds into that results page that I was just flashing up a second ago. So here we are. So now once I hit end quiz, I actually wanted this to be a poll, so I clicked the wrong question type. That's totally fine. There is no right answer to this question. But this is going to pull up the results for us all to take a look at. And now I have a better understanding of what led you all to be here. And it really does make a lot of sense that most of you have not heard about ClassSwift and you're curious about it. So this will help me frame the conversation for today. And in the classroom, it'll help you frame your lessons.
Hey, Heather, you showed something really amazing just a second ago, and I want to make sure that it was captured by as many folks as possible. The translation with what you just sent over and how powerful that is, that's just a feature within the toolbar, an instant translation back and forth between sender and receiver. I was just to give a real world example of this. I was meeting with the district about a week or two ago, and they gave this example of how important and powerful just that alone is. If a teacher were to receive a student, first day student, and does not speak the language and really is challenged. It's challenged both for the student and the teacher. But that student, if you think about how powerful they can sit in the class and participate in a lesson with that translation back and forth, that is extremely powerful, just to have that ability, not only in that situation, which may or may not occur, but in similar situations that we all are looking for translation tools, and we have it just embedded as just an extra feature, and that alone is just powerful.
Very true. Yeah, it's a great accessibility feature just to boost engagement and confidence in your EL population. Something that I wanted to mention is, while this is something that's really powerful on the fly, there's lots of examples as to why a teacher would want to just say, hey, you know what, I didn't plan this before, but I think it's a good idea to throw in a check for understanding question. We also do have ways for teachers to plan these questions ahead of time. So the way that I've been running the questions to you all so far today is on the fly, right in front of you. I've taken the snapshot and I've pushed it out. So those are kind of like live on the fly. What most teachers, and I used to teach in the classroom myself, I would use my planning period or maybe before or after school to create the question, save it in a folder. And then when I'm sitting there in front of my students, I don't have to worry about clicking a lot of buttons or anything like that. I can just pull the folder up, click the question, and send it right out. So that's a really helpful feature to support the on the fly. I did want to give a few examples, though, in the context of the on the fly checking for understanding. Here's just one other example of, I'll kind of like, tie this to a story here. So we're in testing season. This is pretty relevant right now. What typically happens is, not typically, but sometimes happens is you might end a lesson and notice that you have like 5 or 10 minutes before the bell's going to ring or your students are going to be moving on to the next lesson. not quite enough time to start something new. Maybe you didn't really plan for this lull and you might have some strategies already in your tool belt to say, maybe take out a book and read, or maybe take out your homework and get an early start on that. You could also say, you know what, it's test prep season. We need to prepare for an exam. Maybe you didn't have this question ready to go in your slideshow. So I'm going to go to the internet, type in practice exam for my state, click into it, and here we go. I have a full-length practice exam. This is straight from the Smarter Balanced website from my California folks, and I can grab this content and just push it out to my students. So I would, just like before, hit multiple choice, take a screenshot, and then start quiz. And it's really that simple. So we want to be able to give you a little bit more dexterity with the type of content that you use. And we want teachers to feel a lot more nimble and fluid in being able to make pivots like this in the classroom. You know, you don't have to be tied to a printer that might have run out of ink, or maybe you ran out of paper at your school and can't print out a worksheet for your class. You can rely on ClassSwift to sort of fill that need. And you don't have to worry about building out things ahead of time for it. Going to end that quiz. Once I end it, it locks it out for everyone. Don't worry, I'm not even going to bother with the answers right now. But I did want to point out that it is anonymous. So as students send their answers in, it simply says answered. We don't want students to feel stressed out that they're going to get called out maybe if the answer is not correct. But this is just going to help boost engagement and have those students who may not be the ones to raise their hand all the time to participate, because in this case, everyone is held accountable. It is on everybody's screens. We are all doing it together. When I do disclose the answer, you get that distribution, just like I flashed up on the screen before, to see who, how many answered which letter. It might indicate, you know, is there a misconception in what lesson you're learning that we should go back and do a reteach on, or, you know, whatever that case may be. We want to give you data to adjust your teaching practices right there in that moment. And this can be presented up on your board for everyone to see because of the anonymous nature of it. But you also can have this unplugged on the side. And if you wanted to, you can open up the data further and see individual student responses. Moving along, I wanted to show you the AI quiz generator and then a couple fun tools, and then we're going to get into the ClassLink integration. So the quiz generator is going to help teachers save time on creating questions. So the questions and activities that I've already sent out to you, those are ones that I've either found by searching online or I wrote them myself. In some cases, you might be teaching specific content. In this case, maybe this is a poem that you're reading in class that day. If you wanted to, you can generate 5 different questions with our quiz generator and select ones that are relevant, and then you don't have to spend as much time working on those quiz questions. We just do it for you. So that's just going to load up from the screenshot I took, and then I can put in specific parameters. So right off the bat, the subject is English, so I will leave that. I want to put in our topic is poetry for the day. And then on the side here, there's some advanced settings. So I can change the standards if I wanted to. There's a few different options aside from the federal state standards. The grade level can be adjusted. This is a K through 12 tool. When it comes to the AI quiz generator, specifically just this one component, it's 6th through 12th grade, just because of the reading level and the types of questions that it's going to generate for you. So just keep that in mind. We have Bloom's taxonomy that you can sort of change the way that you're asking the question to your student, and then the quiz type. And then once I hit generate quiz, it'll come up with 5 different quiz questions for me. And just like with any ethical use of AI, we recommend that you read through them, make sure they make sense and are worded the way that you want them to be. You do have the option to edit anything if you want to maybe tweak how it's written. And you also can save them in a folder for later. Like I was saying before, teachers are probably not going to be doing this in front of their students all the time, especially when it comes to the AI quiz generator, because as you see, it takes a couple of minutes. But this is where you would flag it right here and save it in a folder. That way, when you are in front of your students, you can just open the folder, click the question, and send it out.
So just to reinforce again, sometimes this is just I just want to make sure that it's fully understood here. We have just taken content, created assessment questions from content that we pulled from any source to the point where it can be state specific standards to the grade level, Bloom's, quiz type, generate content, assessment questions on the fly or prepared. On the fly, as you said, depending on the content, might take a few seconds to generate, but certainly for preset and for teachers of planning lessons, this is extremely powerful. And again, the example here was a known Robert Frost poem, but the opportunity to take passages, reading passages, or just content, curriculum, or anything that might further interest students. I had one teacher, when I was showing this to them, give an example of, we could pull assessment questions from content that are from literature that the students may be reading now, or from, I could take a random paragraph from a Star Wars clip or something, and if it's something that I could connect with a student, be able to use that as and pull information and pull content and assessment material from that as well. So the possibilities here are endless. And again, just another example of the powerful nature of the powerful tools within this simple little toolbar.
Okay, so we saw a taste of some of the quizzes, a taste of some of the sketch-based responses, and then we have this toolbox. So there's a couple. The timer tool is self-explanatory. It'll pull up a timer. It's just easy and accessible, just based out of that toolbar. You don't have to go looking for your timer. We also have what we call random draw. So you can kind of think of those teachers, maybe you're one of them who has a popsicle stick of student names in your classroom for cold calling. You pull out a student's name and it is their turn to participate. In this case, random draw is a fun way to get students speaking and engaged and participating by flashing their name up on the screen. So it's a little bit more fun. They get excited seeing their name up there. It also keeps things really fair. So you could blame it on technology if a student wanted their name to be called and maybe it wasn't. My favorite tool though, and I'm going to have you all use it in just a second, is the buzzer. So this is going to open up a buzzer on my screen that once I hit start, it'll activate a big red button on your own screen. I'll give it a quick test out right now. And then on the next page, I have a question and you all can race to the buzzer to see who can answer it first. So once I hit start, it's going to show how long it takes for somebody to answer that question. And Tara beat you all to it. Nice job, Tara. I'm going to do it actually one more time because I did also want you to see, if you are watching this later, what does it look like on the student's end? So here's the teacher. This other screen is my student screen. I'm going to hit try again. And there's the big red button. So this is what your students see. Oh my goodness. Jim hit it so fast. Nice job, Jim. He's getting his practice in for the next screen. So yeah, you could see students get really excited about this. I actually just met with the district a couple weeks ago and they were like, my students are about to punch their computer screens because they want to hit that button so badly. Even my students that don't know the answer, they're clicking that button and then they're sitting there like, oh, well, okay, now I have to answer the question. And they do. So it'll just get them a little bit more excited to participate. All right, so I'm going to click my button to put some words on my screen. The first person to click their buzzer is going to answer the question that appears. So you get your buzzer fingers ready. I'm going to open the buzzer up first. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put the question up. Here's that buzzer. Stan the man. You can go ahead and unmute. You could also put it in the chat if you want, but what excites you the most about ClassSwift so far?
No hablo inglés.
Yeah, the games, I think.
All right, I'm going to give it another round. Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, Kathy.
Feel free to use the chat if you're shy and don't want to unmute. What excites you about ClassSwift so far? The possibilities, she says.
They're endless.
They are.
Hey, Heather, since you showed it once before, but just real quick, and not to interrupt you here, but just again, show how that collapses, that toolbar collapses and just hides out of the way. And just a reminder that it's just there when the teacher needs it. and they can open it up, pull it over where they need it, and do what they need to do when they need it, and set it over in the corner when they don't need it, and it's just out of the way. So just a neat little thing that's always there for them when they need it.
That's a good point. And I'm going to leave it out of the way because it doesn't need to block my screen right now. I'm done showing you all some examples. We're just going to talk a little bit now. I just wanted to sort of sum up what we just went over. And on the next slide, we're going to be talking about that ClassLink integration that we're really excited for. So as you all saw, and we talked about already a little bit, with ClassSwift, you're really going to get that whole class participation and engagement. Instead of saying who wants to come up to the board and participate or answer a question, or who wants to raise their hand, in this case, we're all getting it on our screens. We are all doing this together. Your teacher content dexterity, it's just going to help allow your teachers to become more swift with their content. They can go wherever they want. They can use their own content. They are not bound to a PowerPoint slide deck. It's going to get a whole lot more use out of your view board content. You can use your online curriculum. Literally anything that you see on your computer screen is fair game. So it just kind of allows you to take your own screen and your own teacher content and give it to your students without relying on printing things out into worksheets all the time.
And again, also allowing teachers to use what they have, use their resources where they have them. So again, not having to move them over into a different environment to build lessons.
That's true. Yeah, I've had a lot of times in the past where I'd take a screenshot with my snip tool and then save it to my computer and then upload it to another website and then download it into my file. It's like, you know, a whole mess. So it's just makes it a lot quicker and easier to use it and just move on. That instant instructional feedback is going to be so huge, especially if your students got interrupted and are distracted, or maybe it was a really hard lesson, or maybe you see that glazed look in your class and you're like, do they even know what I'm talking about right now? Pull out ClassSwift and get that immediate feedback. There's no question about it. You can see in front of your face in that moment, do they get it, or do I need to go back and reteach something? Maybe I need to change the way I'm teaching it. So that's going to help be super helpful in allowing your teachers to pivot instructional practices. Something that I think is really important that doesn't get talked about a lot is just being able to also include your students in that understanding. You know, sometimes students take quizzes or formative assessments, benchmark assessments, and the data just goes off into the abyss somewhere, and maybe they don't get to actually see it. You may have students that think they don't know something, but in reality they do, and they're just not super confident yet. So this ClassSwift is going to show your students that, yes, they do know what's going on, or maybe they don't. Maybe they should ask some more questions. But it's not just the teachers getting that feedback, the students do too in that moment. As you already saw, it gamifies things to a degree. I didn't show this yet. I won't show it today, but there's also a leaderboard. So as students answer questions, if they got it right, they're going to earn a point for it. There's going to be a leaderboard that you can click into as the teacher if you want to flash it up on your screen. Some students really like that competition in class. Some students don't, so you don't have to show that. But there's a lot of ways that you can tie incentives to this. Maybe the student that gets the most points gets a free homework pass. Whatever it is that makes it more fun is what's going to get your students more excited to learn. And one of my favorite things is just the simplicity of this. It is really that simple. It is just a toolbar. It allows you to use it in any way that you want. And it's just that screenshot and click of a button to push it out. So a lot of teachers that may not be super tech savvy and into the bells and whistles of some other types of software that exists out there for engagement, they get drawn to this just because it is really easy to navigate. All right, so with the ClassLink integration, this is in the process of getting finished up right now. So it's going to be live towards the end of this month, the beginning of next month. We are looking for partner schools and districts to work with us through this experience to see, is the integration doing what you expect it to do? Is it supporting you in ways that you need it to support you? But I'm going to share right off the bat the ways that the integration is intended to support you all and your students. So it's going to streamline the login process. If you are already familiar with ClassLink, which I think most of you are, I think most of you are ClassLink users already, but it allows you to just click the app in a ClassLink Launchpad and it'll bring you right into the app. So you don't have to worry about usernames and passwords and the login process. It's going to save you time in the long run. I used to teach a technology class and I used software that did not have single sign-on. This is pre-COVID days, and it took an entire class period just to register my students. So this is going to save that precious instructional time. It will also have instant roster syncing, so teachers can pull in their rosters to their own classrooms. The way it functions without this integration is that teachers would have to create their own rosters manually. So this is, again, just going to save a ton of your time. You don't have to do that manual work because ClassLink will do it for you. And it will also streamline the synchronization of your user data. So whenever ClassLink gets updated, so will your rosters within ClassSwift. So if you have students that maybe are transient throughout the year, your rosters might change. You don't have to worry about checking it and changing it. It'll sync up and you'll see those changes automatically. And then on the students' end, I mentioned this a little bit already, but there's not going to be a need for students to remember usernames or passwords. And this is so important. Again, back to my days teaching in the classroom, my technology days, I can't tell you the amount of times I had students come to me and say, I forgot my username or I forgot my password. And then we were spending so much time trying to figure that out. They don't need to know any of that. They just click the app and they're in. Also, the way that things work without this integration is that teachers would share their classroom link with their class, kind of like I did today at the beginning of the call in the chat. So instead of having to do that, it would just live within your student's account. They would log in through ClassLink, they would click your teacher name, and they're in your classroom. So it just makes it easier to access your lessons and, again, faster. This is really important too. I think I saw it with a couple of you in my classroom today. The way it stands without this integration is that when your students log into ClassSwift, they write their own display name in, and they also pick the seat number that they want. So some of you might have students get a little silly with the names, but with the ClassLink integration, it's going to take the name that is written within ClassLink and it's going to put that as a display name. So you do not have to worry about anybody coming in and making up some ridiculous name. It's going to just automatically be their actual name that's listed in their ClassLink account. And then the last thing is that we will be able to store lesson data for students to refer back to. So not only do you have your own teacher hub with lesson reports and all of the previous history so that you can grab student work samples and use that in any parent-teacher conferences or IEP meetings and all that, your students will also have their own accounts. So if they have a quiz coming up, they can log into their account, they can find one of the previous lessons that you all worked on together, and they can study from the quiz questions that you've sent to them. And I'm going to kick it right back over to Tim.
Very good. So thank you, Heather. So with that said, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, we are looking for pilot opportunities, and we have a couple of different options or different ideas that to share with you for pilot opportunities. Understanding time of year now is a little strange, but we still have districts that are raising their hand and saying, hey, you know what, we got a little bit of time here at the end of the year. I think we've got time to really take a look at this. So that's certainly an option. If we have small team pilots that just a small group, maybe a couple of departments or a couple of key teacher, maybe a grade level or a teacher group or two that would really like to try this out between now and the end of the school year, we are absolutely open to that. Another option we have would be the schools that have summer school programs or year-round campuses. We could certainly extend a pilot, begin it now, and extend it throughout the summer, and let you all take advantage of this powerful toolbar during the summer season and summer sessions, and certainly through the year-round campuses, and allow us to work with you there. And then the third option here is implementation pilot opportunities are also available for the upcoming school year. We certainly want to get you all involved here, certainly with this ClassSwift, ClassLink integration partnership and this pilot opportunity. We would love to either get you guys started right now, work through the summer, or even opportunities to extend something that begins now even into the next school year as well. This is an opportunity that we, again, are very open on on the options here and how we can work with you all. So it's really a conversation that we can have and what works best for you, and we want to make it work best for all of us and get your feedback, hopefully get your positive reactions, and allow us to also get some very important feedback from you guys here early on.
Tim, I saw a really good question that came right into the chat, so I want to answer it before we move on.
Yes.
Stan had asked cost. So right now the cost would vary just depending on if it's individual teachers, if you're trying to go whole school or whole district. So just to give you sort of like a ballpark idea, we do cost based on per teacher, but at the end of the day, when we do the math and go through what your needs are, it would come out to something along the lines of $2 to $3 a student. But we would talk per teacher. It would just depend on your situation. So Stan, we'd love to talk to you in a little bit more detail of what you're interested in the future. And also the cool thing about being one of our pilot users is that you're going to get a pretty good deal.
Right, and just to stress up front, the cost and purchase and those parts of the conversations are not something that we're intending to jump right into right out of the gate. We really want you guys to get this in hand, to get this installed, get some early users, give us some of that early important feedback, and extended use beyond the pilot opportunities. We would certainly love to do so, and at that point talk cost. But as Heather reinforced, you early adopters and you folks that are helping us out early on are certainly going to benefit as far as that goes with the extension and the permanence and keeping ClassSwift into the incoming school year. So 3 ways to get started. As we're familiar from how we got this meeting started, scan the QR code to get started or to learn more. That would take you to a link where you can put some additional information for us, and we can reach out and contact you to get this set up for you and get you guys up and running just as soon as possible. Or you can simply drop a note in the chat with specific requests, and we will be happy to get back to you there as well. Or for those that are maybe watching this webinar and have access to the slide deck, there is a link as well on number 3 where you can click that and contact us as well. So a number of different ways to reach out to us. We would love to work with you moving forward. Again, be it from this point forward with the school year through the summer, or even opportunities to implement in a broader scale for next school year as well.
And I just put that link in the chat if anybody wants to click
you.
in there and get curious. So we've got plenty of time for questions now. I'm going to actually leave this slide up though while we're chatting. Is there anything that anybody is wondering that they maybe would like to see again? I'm happy to demonstrate anything that you might want to dig deeper in or maybe missed earlier. The floor is yours. Unmute or use the chat, whatever you're comfortable with.
Heather, I was curious as we allow some folks to drop some questions in, if there are any, with going back to expanding the toolbar and opening it back up. One last thing I wanted to point out: a lot of times with technology and the implementation of even something as simple as this toolbar, there's always the hesitation of, gosh, I don't know if my teachers can handle one more thing, or oh, I've got some teachers that are really hesitant for new tech. What's really cool with the toolbar there is that instant push feature that Heather, I think, began with the smiley face and how we filled that in, and that press a button instantly sends something to the student. It's just a one press send, and it's very easy to get teachers at least involved in that very first step of, you hit this button and it sends it to the students. It's about as simple as that. So very, very easy to get started for teachers of any and all levels, and even just a press of a button, instant push can get teachers started.
Yep, that's a good point. It's easy to just start with a couple of quiz type options and maybe dig into the rest once you get used to some of them. It seems like there's no questions. That either means I'm really thorough or people are being shy. But Tara has some information about the community, so I'm going to let Tara jump back in. Oh, you're on mute. Rookie mistake.
Oh my gosh, like I don't do this
Happens to the best of us.
every week. Anyway, thank you both. That was awesome. I appreciate you all sharing about ClassSwift. Certainly, if there are any lingering questions, feel free to drop those in the chat now. I see that we've got Stan filling out the form. That's great. That's awesome. So again, thank you both, Heather and Tim, for that. It was super thorough and certainly was rather impressive as it pertains to instructional tool that you can almost see the benefits, like as they're going through the demo. So I love that and appreciate that. And I love the feedback that's going into the chat. Most of you, by virtue of being in this session, you have already joined the community. So I just wanted to show you briefly, let me share my screen, that is also another resource bank for you to use. And I presume you guys are monitoring the chat, Heather and Tim. Okay. It's another resource bank for you to use so that if you are still after this session, and even if you go back and watch it via the recording, you are wondering about, well, wait, what did Heather and Tim say about this? I wanted to show you in the community here that we have product forums. And if you come here to the product forum and then select ClassSwift, it will take you to that particular product form whereby you'll be able to see more videos, look at some success stories, as well as have access to the knowledge base. So within our educator community, I wanted to make sure you were aware that it is another layer of support to support you as you are making some decisions around ClassSwift, also maybe refreshing your memory. We have recorded this session, so that means that it will be made available within the community. We have a webinar, an expansive webinar recording library that will have this, and it'll be easy to find because it'll be the same image that you used to register. So I welcome you to come back and take a look, particularly to see some of the tips and tricks that Heather went over and the discussion that happened between Tim and Heather. Okay, questions, comments, anything else? Everyone familiar how to get into the community? Like I said, I know you guys are all members because you're in this session, but anything else? Any lingering questions for Heather or Tim? Are we good? All set. Wonderful. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you all for joining. I know various people had to jump off at different times because of schedules, and that's fine. Everything's been recorded. So make sure you check out the link. It'll be on our YouTube channel as well. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.